Is that screen level? Yeah, close enough. Okay. We'll wait a second to have everybody join here. Welcome. So this is the Ask Me Anything for the CrossFit Linchpin private track. However, this is the first time we're doing it on Instagram Live, so that's cool. Usually this is done on Facebook Live, but I decided to try something else. We do these every Thursday, and the way that they work is on Wednesday, I post in the private Facebook group what time this is going to be on Thursday, and then on that thread, members submit questions, and the most upvoted questions or topics from other members are the ones that they get addressed live. So that's all good. Says Troy, you and Boz have been killing it on VNR lately, on Very Not Random. I appreciate that. So, all right. So with no further ado, we'll dive right in. I picked about the top 3. We'll see how the time goes. Sometimes I can get long-winded and go down rabbit holes. I'll try to keep it tight and punchy, if you will, and just get into providing ideally as much good information as possible in as short of a time frame as possible so that I don't waste anybody's precious time. So here we go. The most upvoted question, of course, I have some caffeine. Today's show brought to you by caffeine. Nothing special, just dark roast, no cream, no sugar, just dark roast. Here we go. First most upvoted question is from Ashley S. And it says, how did you find out that you have a talent and love for programming? How/where did you start? And did your early programming look similar or different to what we follow at Linchpin today? Cool question. So I had to think about this for a while to go back into the way back memories. I think I started, as a CrossFit nerd, geek, understandably, for sure. And I was always fascinated by the workouts, completely enamored, intoxicated, enraptured. I don't know how many words I can come up with for the love that I had with classic CrossFit workouts because they were just so markedly different from what I've been doing my entire life as what I thought a quote-unquote workout had to look like to drive fitness forward, right? I came from a classic, what most guys did, just bodybuilding style workouts, right? Chest and tris, back and bis, legs and shoulders. Everything was 3 sets of 10 reps, resting a little bit in between, walking over to the water fountain, having a drink, doing, breaking up abs, doing just cardio, and everything mashed together and mixed modality. I just never seen anything like it. So it just got in my brain, and I immediately was fascinated by it, wanted to learn why it worked, how it worked, and started doing it, and then knew without question that the results were significantly better than that old classic style of training that I was doing. So I had no illusions about the efficacy. I just didn't understand how to make that magic happen yet. And so I just played with it and played with it and played with it until I just finally started to slowly figure it out. And then I was profoundly lucky to be involved in the CrossFit community in the early days when I was, and the amount of knowledge sharing and experimentation was rampant, and it was fantastic. And I got to listen to Greg lecture countless times, hear him just had whatever was in his brain on whatever random topic at a coffee shop or a breakfast joint or a dinner or something like that, and those were invaluable conversations. And then just through that love, I just started programming, and it's not for everybody. I mean, because the truth is, to do it and do it right, part of it's fun and creative, but part of it's also just really boring because it's just so much fact checking and research and looking backwards and analyzing where you've been and figuring out where you haven't been. It's just time consuming and monotonous, but absolutely mission critical. So there's a mixture of both. So it's not for everybody. Kind of like coaching's not for everybody, or whatever. But I just gravitated towards it. And then during my time on the level 1 staff, I don't know, maybe I just became known as the guy that liked to program. And so I was usually the person that during the lunchtime trainer workouts, everybody would already ask me during the trainer workout in the morning before day one of the seminar even started, "Hey Pat, what are we doing today at lunch?" And that was a question I heard weekend after weekend for many years. And so I kind of fell into that role, gladly loved the role, and it's just spiraled from there. And inevitably, like everything else, right? You just don't become decent at something. There's that saying that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And so you just can't shortcut time and lessons learned and making mistakes. And so I'm sure if I had historical documentation of some of my early workouts, I would go, yeesh, oof, did I really write that? Or did I think that was a good idea? Or did I think that was an appropriate loading or rep scheme? Or how long did I think that would take? Oof, missed the mark on that. There's just no way around that, right? I mean, whether it's programming, learning another language, learning to drive a car, whatever, you're going to be a beginner for a long time, then you'll slowly become an intermediate for a long time. You'll continue to make mistakes and you'll become advanced. And even when you're advanced, you still make mistakes. You're still learning the whole time. So, I had to go through that process like everybody else. Talking about, and I was always fascinated by the human machine as CrossFit thought like human beings. It kind of measured human beings as if they were machines, right? You're just doing work. And so you're going to look at this human body like you would a mechanical apparatus of a bulldozer or a crane or a forklift. How much work can it do in what period of time? And the mathematics behind that fascinated me as well. So all of it was combined in the perfect storm to really get inside my head. And then I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole here. So to get back to your question, did early programming look similar or different to what we follow at Linchpin today? It had an evolution. It was always CrossFit. Always, I hate to even use the term classic CrossFit because that implies there's a non-classic CrossFit, and that bothers my soul to some degree. But to use the parlance of our times, it's always classic CrossFit. I did drift for a short period of time on Linchpin. If you go back into Linchpin and scroll way back, you'll find some times where I fell into, one of our phrases is that we do what's effective, not what's popular. Don't care what's popular on Instagram. Don't care what makes for sexy media. What's effective? And if it's effective, we're going to do it. And that's one of our pillars. For a while, I slipped from that, if I'm being honest with myself, and I started to do more of what was popular, even though it wasn't quite as effective. I fell into that same trap that so many people do. And again, if you scroll back and look way back in some Linchpin workouts on our website or on Instagram, you'll see some times where there was a heavy lift followed by a workout, right? I don't do that anymore because it's not the most effective way to get a large group of people profoundly fit. One workout a day, properly programmed, intentionally designed, is going to do the trick. And then respecting the heavy days. Give them their adequate time that they deserve so you get everything that you need and you just focus on getting strong on those days and nothing else. And that drives the needle of progress forward faster for the overwhelming majority of the population than we're going to do a heavy lift followed by a burner afterwards. That's what I would categorize as popular but not effective. And I did fall into that trap for a small period of time. So yeah, that's probably one of those things right there. And I also was just always in love with CrossFit's, not potency is not the right word that I'm looking for, but Adrian Bosman has this great phrase of what classic CrossFit workouts and programming is supposed to be, and it's the minimum effective dose. That's what's so gorgeous about CrossFit, is if you're good at what you're doing with regards to programming, that one workout a day is designed and crafted to be potentially a small package, right? Maybe based upon volume or whatever it happens to be, but executed well with relative intensity produces extraordinary results without you having to spend unnecessary time in the gym. So beautiful classic CrossFit programming, that's what makes it so darn hard, is because it's really hard to deliver the minimum dose to to get the maximum effect on the other side. And it's really easy to not do that and just say, well, I'm not sure how we're going to do that, so instead we'll do part A, B, C, and D, and I think that'll cover all of our bases. It's far more challenging, that elegance, right? That mathematical elegance of the simplest solution possible. That is what we're going for. And that is something, in my mind anyway, absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. I think programming is a gorgeous thing. So that's that. Okay. So that's first question there. Next most upvoted is from Justin H. Justin, I'm scrolling through the Facebook page right now. Okay, Justin H, here you are. Ooh, here we go. I'm going to get a little more caffeine for this. What's your opinion of athletes who skirt or disregard the standard when it comes to movements, only to get a better time or score on a workout? I say this because with Murph coming, there will be many who do partial or incomplete push-ups just for a better time. I ask this because of the rising popularity of a CrossFitter who's making YouTube videos and calling out athletes by name with bad movements. Thanks. Okay. So, I looked at this question this morning as I was enjoying my breakfast. And it gave me pause as to how to answer it. Because it's funny. I both care and I don't care. And taken out of context, that might, be something which can be like quote sniped. And Pat Sherwood doesn't care. It's more nuanced than that, and I'm not sure that I'm going to articulate it perfectly, but I'll try. Well, first of all, if somebody is shorting their range of motion, as Justin asks about, disregarding the standard to get a better time, that implies, at least what I'm getting from his question, that implies that the athlete is doing it consciously. Okay, so that is something that's important to define. Because if an athlete is not meeting the range of motion standard, and they don't have some sort of injury or limitation that would prevent them, they could do it, they're just not doing it. Well, then the primary question becomes, is that happening due to ignorance or malice? And that's a very important delineation. There's a lot of people that work out all the time. They're wonderful human beings, and they think they're doing great. I'll put myself in this category. Everyone always thinks that they're doing great. Yep, every one of those thrusters was so below parallel, crushed it. I mean, just went downtown on those things. And the overhead position, poetry in motion. It was fantastic. And then you don't realize that maybe somebody else was videoing a workout and you were in the background and you catch yourself working out and you're like, oh, ooh, I didn't realize that's how I looked. In my head, when my body was moving, I thought I was really moving really well. Geez, now I see myself, and how I look in reality isn't how my mind's eye thinks that I look. Okay, well, back to the drawing board. Let's try to correct this, because moving your body about a full range of motion, moving your joints about a full range of motion, that's what you want to do to maintain long-term health and fitness, keep yourself out of an assisted living home, etc., etc. So there's reasons that you would want to move your body around a full range of motion. But that's the ignorance part. Happens to all of us. No worries there. I think more what Justin's asking about is the malice part of it. Is the athlete knowing full well makes a deliberate decision not to move well or not to move to the standard in order to get a faster time. This is where I say, this is, again, this isn't going to come off properly, but sometimes I feel like it's tough for me to articulate how much I don't care. Again, and I know that sounds not finished. That statement sounds not finished. Because I've just got bigger things to worry about in my life than if Joey Bag of Donuts down the street decides that the leaderboard is so important to him that he's going to do bad push-ups. I don't even know what to say about that. I've got a family to take care of, a huge Linchpin community to provide the appropriate programming and education and knowledge base for all kinds of other actual, like, real important things in the world, that if somebody decides that what's really important in their life is their MRF score, and they're gonna do something weird to get a faster time, my thoughts and prayers go to that person, to be, quite honest with you. I don't know if I can help you. That is something on the individual, that I would say that that individual, in my humble opinion, has some misaligned priorities and some core values that are not in keeping with what I would say is the highest standard that you would want to as a human being. There's some integrity issues there, some honesty issues there, again, some warped priorities there. If your workout times are that important to you, that you're willing to be fraudulent about them, there's some self-reflection, personal development that has to take place that's probably beyond the scope of what I could do for that individual. So, that's kind of my take on it. And I heard that there was some hullabaloo, a bit of a kerfuffle, if you will, about whatever was the most recent, competition that took place. I think specifically with Masters athletes trying to go to the games. Of course, some people are happy with videos, some people are unhappy with the videos. So-and-so met the standard, so-and-so didn't meet the standard again. I kind of just want to say, like, whoop-de-doo, for my life anyway. It doesn't affect my life. That's on them, and those people need to do some soul searching and some personal development that is outside of the scope of what I can provide. But that's also why, a competition is one thing, right? So there's a difference between a competition and, Justin asks, somebody might be doing MRF and just trying to get a better time. Well, MRF isn't part of a competition next week, right? MRF is something you're doing just because you want to do MRF. And that's why there's two aspects of CrossFit, right? There's you versus you, and then there's the competition of the community. The power of the whiteboard of seeing scores and seeing other scores and getting competitive on the whiteboard can help you push a little bit harder. I understand all that. I get all that. That's true. But you also can't know if every single one of those scores on the whiteboard, like you said, was done perfectly. Who knows? There's probably, like every other human being, there's a range. Some people did really well, some people did poorly, and some people were right there in the middle. And most of us are probably right there in the middle most of the time. We have good days and bad days. So that's why, while those other scores are nice to see, at the end of the day, it really is you versus you. You holding yourself to the standard that you want to hold, to the time that you did it previously, to whatever it happens to be. Now, if we're talking competition, right, well, that is a different animal than recreational CrossFit that most of us do every day. And if you are competing in a competition, yes, it would be ideal that the parameters or the rules of that competition are fairly applied and enforced to every single solitary person competing, so that it's a level playing field. And so it sounds like, based upon Justin's question, again, he just said MRF, but then he mentions, this person on YouTube that's calling out athletes with bad movements as part of competition. So, I'm sure that happens. And ideally it would be all good to go in a competition, but that's not what most of us do every day. So that's that. And then the question would become, if in a competition, and I'm just speaking in generalities because I actually don't know the specific, if there was a specific like incident or video that's going viral or whatnot. I'm not in that world anymore. I'm not paying attention to it. It's irrelevant to me. Then if there was a video that, I don't know, was green lighted as being an okay submission, and most people think that it shouldn't have been a good submission, then the question comes back to almost the original metric I used with Justin's question. Did that video get the green light from the judging staff due to ignorance or malice? Well, they're still human beings. They still might make an error, right? And if they made an error or the camera angle was weird or whatever it happened to be, well, if it gets enough attention, maybe it'll get a second look and maybe it'll get corrected if it does need to be changed into a different direction. So whatever in the heck it is that everyone's talking about, I hope it goes the way that it should. That would be my kind of 2 cents on that. All right, we've got one more quick question, and then one more that'll be a medium answer, let's say that. So the quick one is just from Ken T, who says he's kind of following up on Justin's question about people holding themselves to a standard. Do you ever no-rep yourself during a workout? Yeah, every now and then, and it's usually on something like a double under. I'm supposed to get to 50 double unders in a set. Inevitably, every now and then you trip on number 49, which is so frustrating, and no one's looking in the garage, right? It would be just really nice to throw the rope down and be like, we're going to call that 50. But now you got to step through the rope and reset and do one more stupid double under till you get to number 50. Then you can set the rope down. So yes, I do try to actually do that, and it's okay with me, even though quote unquote, well, I should say it might slow me down because I didn't get the rep. So it's not like it'd be an erroneous, unfair score if I did submit it with having missed a double under rep. But the nice thing is, since I'm not competing with anybody else, I'm just doing the workout to move my body appropriately for long-term health and fitness. It's not that big of a deal if I have to redo the double under or redo a rep, because it's just me versus me. And it's a really nice place to be for your long-term mental health as well. Okay, so that was the quick one. Final question. I've got some notes written down as always from CW CrossFit. Here we go. My coffee's getting to the point where it is a little bit chilly and I'm not enjoying that. Okay. CW CrossFit. I'm in an age where I know my times and scores will rarely set the world ablaze. But more importantly, I love how well my attitude towards training, which often didn't sit well in my previous gyms, aligns with the ethos of Linchpin and the awesome community. Previously, the gym focused only on people competing in class over form, and that was not for me. I am very aware and don't expect to get many PRs, I guess, at this age, and don't mind that at all. However, I do want to know, as you put it, that I'm still quote-unquote pushing the needle forward. So, as I hurtle towards my mid-50s, what can I use as guidelines to know that I'm still making progress in my fitness? For example, 53-year-old or going further towards a 60-year-old me is unlikely to beat what I could do at 51 years old, my best Cindy, for example, or lift heavier. So how do I measure, or more honestly just get a sense that I'm truly getting better? I know there are skills that I'm working on, such as wall balls and handstand push-ups, which will be easy for me to track, but in terms of general fitness and strength, how do I know what I'm doing? By the way, I'm very happy when I get my 4 to 5 sessions done most weeks. Okay, fantastic question. And a little bit of the answer to the question is already in there, but let's see kind of what popped into my mind. So, first of all, there's just the harsh, cold, evolutionary, biological, physiological, emotionless answer to the question, which is, and this is speaking in general terms, because this depends upon when you started CrossFit, what was your athletic background, but in general terms, yes. As the years tick on, there will come a point for all of us that you will get your last PR on some workout that it happens to be. That day will come for all of us. It might come at 35, 45, 55, 65, or 75, but that day will come. Same with your lifts. And then if you continue to work out, which I hope that you do, those numbers will eventually degrade. Each Fran, if you're doing Fran for the rest of your life, and I've seen a 70-year-old do Fran, and he's a beast. If you continue to do Fran each year of your life, there's a chance that each year Fran is slower than the year it was before. There's a chance that if you're continuing to back squat for your entire life, that with every couple years that goes by in your late 60s or 70s, that you're squatting less than you did the year before. Sorry, that is the biological, physiological, cold, hard truth. And that timeline is different for everybody. So I can't tell you when that timeline is for you, but I can tell you it's coming for you. It's coming for me. It's coming for everybody. And as hard as the mindset shift is at that point, you need to realize that you are still winning and you are still crushing life and you are still an absolute barbarian of fitness because you're still working out, because you are still back squatting, because you are still doing some version of Fran, even if at later stage in life you've lowered the loading and you're doing ring rows. Who cares? The fact that you have chosen an active lifestyle over a sedentary lifestyle at a certain point in your life puts you in such an elite tier of society that I can't even do it mathematical justice. So you are crushing it, even when you get to that point that your fitness backslides. The goal then becomes to have that lowering of your work capacity, that decrease of your fitness, that decrease of the area under the curve for the CrossFit nerds to be as slow as possible, as gradual as possible, and to extend it out for as many years as possible. That becomes the goal for all of us. And, not to go down a rabbit hole, but the decisions that you're making today, and I don't care if you're 35 years old listening to this, and it seems like 70 is a long ways away, which it is, the decisions you're making right now as a 35-year-old are going to have a direct impact on your quality of life when you're 70. Are you unnecessarily beating up your body right now, training like a competitor for no reason, lifting heavy every day and your knees, back, and shoulders ache? That check will get cashed one day. It will get cashed, and it may not be on your terms. So making smart decisions now is a very intelligent thing because it will come into play later on in life. So anyway, I actually believe that I'm already at a stage where I will never PR my Fran ever again. For my entire life on this planet, if I work out another 3 decades, I will never PR Fran ever again. That's okay. I will continue to do Fran because when it comes up in any particular day, because it made sense on that day to do a short and sharp workout at a moderately loaded thruster where you go below parallel, drive the hip to overhead, paired with a gymnastics upper body pull, like when that makes sense in that day, I'll do whatever version of Fran makes sense for me to do in that day, and I'll get the fitness benefits from it, and I'll get the long-term health benefits from it, even though if it looks different than my previous Frans, and even though if I don't touch my previous Frans times. So making that mental change in your head based upon whatever stage of life you happen to be in is an important step for all of us. So I already got off track. I had notes written down and then I started to ramble, so I apologize. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, all right, I kind of covered this. If you're still prioritizing your health and fitness, that's progress. That's progress right there. Walking into the gym, that's progress. Again, you're in an elite group of society, and you kind of mentioned it in your question, but I'll say it again. I bet there are still plenty of areas that you can see meaningful improvement on, even if some things maybe you won't see improvement on because you've been doing them for years and years and years. And I'm just throwing things out there, and this may or may not apply to you there, CW CrossFit. Strict pull-ups. Probably need some work. I bet there's could be some increases there as well. Punching out the old number on the L-sit. Well, there's something that's popular, but that's effective but not popular. I bet there's some room to improve there as well. Fun things that maybe don't cross your path that frequently, pieces of gear that not everyone have, but they're wonderful pieces of gear if you do have access to them that you can play with and slowly start to increase loading. Your sled drag, prowler push, yoke carries, things of that nature. Maybe shaving some time off the old 800-meter run. Most of us could probably benefit from some focus there. There's probably still some PRs in our future there if we really dedicate ourselves to it. What are some things that you have not done? Have you done a 10K run? A 15K run? Have you done a 10K row? If you haven't, then whatever you do that first time is a PR. And then since it's your first time doing that, chances are you'll be a little bit better next time you do it. And so there's a PR looming in your future there. You could do a workout you've done before, but maybe do it a little bit different. And that's a new workout, and that's a new PR. We're talking about Murph because it's coming up next week, right? If you traditionally do Murph with a mile run, 20 rounds of Cindy, and then a mile run, you've done that 10 times, 15 times, whatever it happens to be. Well, maybe this year you do Murph unpartitioned. knowing full well that your time will be slower, but it may have the same name, but doing Murph unpartitioned is a different workout, a different metric, and a different benchmark almost. And so whatever time you get, it's a new time. And so next year, if you do it unpartitioned as well, you've got a shot to beat that time, which is cool. How's the old 15 rep overhead squat going? Might be something that we can do there. 20 rep back squat, things of that nature. And then I bet there's so many CrossFit workouts out there. And there's a lot more than people realize, even named workouts, quite frankly, that I bet you could find some named CrossFit workouts, some beautiful benchmarks that you actually haven't done, even if you've been doing CrossFit 10 years. And when you do that workout that you haven't done before, well, that's a new PR. And again, if it's your first time doing it, and then you do it again in 6 months, you might move the needle forward a little bit on that and get yourself a PR because you've got some familiarity with it. You know what you did or didn't do the first time you did it. You can try a little bit of a different strategy. And so there could be some really fun gains to be had there as well. And then there's just amazing skills and drills, some of which you mentioned. Static handstand hold. Not moving, just open room. Just how long can you hold a static handstand? And there's a lifelong progression right there. Increasing your handstand walk distance. And then some simple things like jumping rope. And this is actually something that Adrian and I spoke about on a previous episode of Varied Not Random. We largely just do single unders and double unders. Largely just double unders, really, in CrossFit with a jump rope. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole, go onto the internet, the good old interwebs, and look up all the different skills and drills that you can do with that jump rope that's hanging in your garage, and you will realize you've got so many new things to explore and to learn and to get good at that you're not going to be bored. So there's all kinds of good stuff there. And all of this, again, in keeping in your mind that the health of your knees, back, and shoulders should be paramount, and then keeping it fun. Your mental health as well. If you're not having fun, you're probably not going to be doing this in 5 or 10 years. Heck, you might not be doing it in 1 year. And we want people doing this for the rest of their lives, because that's what they're going to need to be successful here on planet Earth. So that's that. That's my answer to that one. So we'll close out as we normally do here with the Ask Me Anythings with just a few cool stories that I screenshotted over the past few months from the Linchpin private track, the closed Facebook group there. And I'll also say, if you are a member of the Linchpin community, film the space in which you work out. Your basement, your garage, your apartment in New York City, your apartment in Bogota, Colombia, wherever you happen to be, military base, fire department. Shoot a video of what you got, the gear and all that good stuff, and then email it to me to info, I-N-F-O, info@crossfitlinchpin.com. Put it on YouTube, just shoot me the YouTube link, and I will put that video on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel for everyone to check out. If you go to the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel right now, there's a playlist entitled Garage Gym Tours, and there's a ton of videos from people all around the world, all different size spaces, all different types of equipment. You can get a lot of cool ideas as to what works and find a space that's similar to yours and get some new ideas. They're super cool, so go ahead and do that. And then lastly, here are the 3 shout-outs, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. So this first one is entitled, this is from Roy L., and I'll just read what he wrote. Just wanted to say I set a PR on my half marathon run today by 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And then I PR'd the clean and jerk that we had programmed today. Did both of those in the same week. Thanks, Linchpin. That's super cool. And we talk about 2 different ends of the spectrum, right? You PR your half marathon run, and then you PR your clean and jerk. That's cool. This one I entitled Rick H. is a Warrior. And Rick H., for anyone who's in the private Facebook group, knows Rick. He posts regularly. He's awesome. He's got some just chronic pain in his body that sounds like he's been dealing with most of his life. And so working out can be hit or miss. A lot of scaling, a lot of modifications happen for him. But the dude finds a way to make it happen on a regular basis and is profoundly motivating. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. Says his back has been sore but feeling better somehow, so he decided to throw caution to the wind, pull some deadlift. He did the scaled option, and that was perfect for me. He says, I'm a bit chunky right now, as you can see in the video, but I wanted to post this video for accountability. Also, these are the first box jumps I've done in a while, so basically says, hope you all find something to be grateful for on this hump day, my internet fitness friends. Rick's always out there, making it happen. Rick, I see you right there, my friend. Love your posts, brother. Love them every day. We've got the entire spectrum of the population in the Linchpin community. From individuals that, a 135 deadlift for a triple is challenging and where they need to be. And we've got somebody that just posted a 500-pound deadlift for a triple the other day, and everything in between. People in their 20s, people in their 60s, everything in between. People that have been dealing with chronic pain their whole life, people who've never had anything happen their whole life, and all of them together sharing and exchanging ideas and kind of picking each other up, and it's really cool to see. So Rick, love seeing your posts, brother. All right, and lastly, last one from Chris L. He says he is celebrating his 1900 posted workout on Beyond the Whiteboard. 1,900 posted data points for Chris L. And on the same day, it's his 3-year Linchpin anniversary. And no better way to celebrate than with a PR that he got on his 1-rep clean and jerk. So, super cool. So that's it. I appreciate everybody's time. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. It's a rest day here at Linchpin, my favorite day of the week. So I'll be not working out. Be kind to each other, and we will talk later.